love with her. I can't believe that she's mine. Yeah. And now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. Appreciation. Well, it comes and it goes, but I ride that wave with you. It's human nature to miss what's under your nose till you remind a fool. Maybe all of this is simple. My heart's unconditional, yeah. You dress up just a little, and I'm like, oh, damn. So suddenly, I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe that she's mine. Now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. So suddenly, I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe that she's mine. Yeah. And now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. If I could bottle this up, bottle this up, I would bottle this up, bottle this up, I would. 'Cause you're gorgeous in this moment. If I could bottle this up, I would. So suddenly, I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe that she's mine. Now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. So suddenly, I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe that she's mine. Yeah. And now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes.
Hello and welcome. It looks like we have a couple more coming in now. All right. I love that song because, you know, we all need some fresh eyes now and then.
It's at the wall.
And
yeah, she literally walked towards the wall.
Okay, can you sit that for me, please? Okay, I'm gonna figure this out.
We can hear you, Christy.
okay, I just muted her.
We're good.
I know that she is she's taking care of a hurt little girl for a minute, so we'll just I believe that's the message I got. So glad you're here, Christy, and I hope that's okay. No problem, Christy. I hope everything is okay. All right. So we're excusing Curtis tonight. He has another thing he had to be at, so I'm gonna do the review for him and do the discussion. And we are talking about outside perspective and that song about fresh eyes. It's about getting a fresh perspective. And you may not have seen the video that goes with that song, but I would say look it up if you want to. It's really cool. It's about going to this homeless shelter. I guess they went there and they took a group of those people that had lived there a while and they did a makeover on them, and then they got a fresh look at who they were. And so it's a really cool video. Check that out. And sometimes we get a fresh look at ourselves when we ask those questions to others, like, well, how do you see me? And that's what you guys got to do this week. And I'm excited to hear We're excited to hear what you found. And you also got to work on compliments and receiving those. For me, I have been working on this for a while about receiving compliments. And Curtis is really good at just helping me practice every day because he's always giving me compliments. And I try to do the thank you thing, and I sometimes do better than others, but I told him today I was going to just say, bring it on. So there we go. That's one way to do it, right?
me more. I'm having a hard day. Tell me more.
Yes,
What else you got?
that's right. All right. Well, so what we'd like to hear from you all tonight is maybe share with us one of the responses that you got from your text that you sent out. And it can be one that you really liked or one that surprised you. Just, yeah, share one with us. And then, how that made you feel and how that maybe changed your perspective a little bit on yourself. And then you can talk about compliments too, like how has it been for you accepting compliments in the past? And were you able to make any changes on receiving those compliments? And then just any other insights that you had from this experience this week. All right. Everyone's camera is off except for Arena. So Arena, would you like to go first?
I guess I should have left my camera off.
No, we want to see your faces.
Yeah, I'm kind of sucking on my dinner here. So, but anyway, okay. So, I sent my text to two of my closest friends. Well, you guys know one of them, and that's Masami. And I've talked about the other one, and that's Ephraim. Then I also sent it to my child, my sister, and my mom. And I guess I was really surprised by the responses because I really honestly expected the best response to come from Ephraim. He's a poet and just thought, he usually gets really eloquent and stuff, but his response was actually kind of short. It was sweet, but it was kind of short. And then like Masami and my mom and my daughter, they're just really sweet. But the one that surprised me the most was from my sister. We're very close, but we've also had a lot of differences and a lot of fights. I guess we are siblings. But anyways, what she said to me just was so sweet. So I'll go ahead and read it. She says, your best qualities are you care about the people close to you a lot, and it shows. Example, being worried when I don't text back. I've been in a bad space mentally, and do your best to try to either pull me out of it or work with me to help. It means a lot to me. So people in your bubble know you care tremendously. You are creative. You don't see art the way a lot of people do. You see junk or whatever and can come up with an art project to use. I don't think even Kathy works like that. Your thirst for knowledge. I've never known someone to take so many college courses or classes. Yes, even the ones that focus on mental health. You enjoy learning. It's awesome. So, I thought that was really, yeah, it was really sweet. And I guess I didn't expect it to be that long, you know, I told her thank you, but then I was like, I didn't expect you to say so much. Um, so saying thank you to compliments has been difficult for me for most of my life. Most of the time, I have kind of felt like, well, they're just saying that, or they have to say that because they're my sister, or they're my friend, or, you know, and even receiving compliments from um, strangers, I usually say something like, oh, you know, yeah, it's a shirt I bought here or there, you know, I kind of make it like it's not a big deal. But I would say in the past year, I've been doing better at that. I think a lot of it's due to Ephraim just coaching me and, you know, letting me know, like, hey, you know what? When someone compliments you, all you have to say is thank you. That's all they really want to hear. And even like this week, apparently I look good in purple because every time I have this royal purple shirt that I wear, and every single time I wear it, I get a compliment. So I need to get more purple in my wardrobe, I guess. But yeah, you know, a complete stranger just said, "Oh my gosh, you look really beautiful today," and I was like, "Oh, thank you. I really needed that." Because this has kind of actually been kind of a yucky week for me. So, um, but I kind of have a question for you all. Uh, I do find that when I get compliments, like say about a shirt I'm wearing, I have a tendency to be like, oh, I'll say thank you, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I got it at this store or whatever. Is that not accepting the compliment fully?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
So Curtis taught this to me beautifully. Once he told me, I love that dress on you. And I said, I got it for $3 at DI.
Hmm.
And he said, okay, just take a minute. All I really wanted to hear was thank you. And then you just like shoved it back in my face and then told me I was stupid because it was only $3. And he said, it complicates things and makes it really weird and uncomfortable and yucky. Why don't you just say, thanks, I really needed that today. And then I'll feel glad that I opened my mouth. And instead of you slapping me for being stupid and saying that you looked good, you know, anyway,
Yeah.
it made such a difference in my brain. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I get what you mean about awkward. I even feel that when after I say, "Oh, I just got it at a thrift store." Most of my stuff comes from thrift stores.
Right.
So, you know, but when I say that, I feel they're like, "Okay, not sure what to say about that," you know?
So he says,
And like I
just
said,
say
that
thank you. And if you want to make them feel like they're glad they were brave and said something, say, I really needed that today. You made my day.
and, you know, I said that to that other man when he said that, and I would you know, I just said, "You know, I really needed that today," and he says, "Well, I'm just speaking the truth."
Oh, so
You
good.
know? So it was really sweet, yeah, and, so I've been trying to practice that, like, I don't need to give the addendum part, you know, just, "Thank you," you know, so
You could wear a little rubber band on your wrist, and every time that you say more than thank you, you have to flip it.
so,
I think
was there any other stuff I was supposed to talk about?
Um, well, I just wanted to comment on that as well. I just wanted, sometimes we say, yeah, I got it at a thrift store or I got it from a clothing exchange because we're kind of proud of that we got this cool thing. So I don't know. I mean, it could go either way, but I think
Mhm.
yes, the way to direct it where the person is intending it to go is the best way is to just say thank you.
Yeah, and, you know, I guess that's kind of I mean, it makes it like when I get compliments on things that I make and wear, you know, and then I say, "Oh, thank you, I made it." and that I feel is okay, you know, because
Yeah.
yeah, then I'm like just kind of adding more kudos to it.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I agree. So how did receiving the compliments and just yeah, receiving the text that had the compliments on it, how did all of that uh, affect your view of yourself?
um, it was, it was nice because, there was like a few unexpected, like Ephraim said that I'm so positive and joyful, and I was just like, well, I don't really feel like at least I don't feel like I have been lately. But he's always kind of said that about me. It was nice to hear my mom and my sister say they noticed my thirst for knowledge, and which is true. One of my mottos is learn something new every day. So it was cool. So yeah, I think my daughter said, you have a cool personal style, which, I most people are like, oh yeah, you're really unique. But her way of saying you have a cool personal style, and I liked that a lot. Um, so yeah, it was super nice getting those compliments and made me feel good and special.
That's great. And kind of it's an opportunity to like stand back from ourselves and go, huh, this is what they're seeing. And like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. Yeah.
And honestly, like my sister saying that I care so much for people that are like, especially that are in my bubble. Uh, I I I guess that was kind of unexpected from her because some of our fights in the past have been about um, me being selfish or her being selfish. We tend to, I guess it goes back to our lesson last week where we tend to mirror each other on that, like you're so selfish, and it's like, well, actually, we're kind of both in that, you know.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe so. But nice to hear the good stuff. Huh.
Mhm,
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing.
mhm.
Julie, you're muted.
Thank you, Arena. That's I guess I'm pushing my button to unmute. So Mark, would you be willing to share next?
I could not find my white cursor. Well, hey, everybody. I'm glad to be on here with you tonight.
Hi.
Big day. So just sharing that with you. I'm sure we've all had that. It was hard to get here. I had to cancel something else that ran late. So anyway, um, this was kind of a eye opener because sometimes we see ourselves at our best and our worst, but I personally, sometimes I get down on myself, oh, Mark, and I start negative talking. And not all the time, but I mean, just sometimes. And then the other thing is how do you be humble or in humility, but yet somebody praises the heck out of you? Because I've got my people around me that praise me every single day, which is really awesome. But I sent this to my brother, and this one was the one that surprised me the most. He's the one I'm closest to in my family. Do you want me to read everything he said? Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, Julie, you're muted. You can stay on. Anyway, spiritual, close to the spirit, driven by firm belief and faith in Christ. Positive attitude, even in the most difficult circumstances. Sees the good in everyone, goal driven, self starter, inspirational, honest, friendly. Seeks for self improvement, excited when improvement is realized. I told him quick, but he answered in like 3 minutes. So, anyway, but then it was my birthday the next day, and he came and took me to birthday lunch the following day after my birthday. That was Saturday. And then he sat me down and gave me a dang good talking to about being an empath and caring too much about what people think. And it wasn't that he was still in the compliment, but he really wanted to give me a lesson, as my older brother sometimes does. So it was kind of interesting, you know. And I took the lesson from him. I told him thank you on both the message to me and then the little bit of teaching. And he taught me a little treasure, which I already know, but he really reiterated the fact that, Mark, I was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and that didn't mean squat. He said what it meant was that I had leadership, I had a responsibility, but I was no better than that guy that just joined that. And he said, and I treated everybody that way. And you got to understand this. You treat people in this hierarchy and you put yourself less than other people. And he said, you got to stop doing that, brother. You've got to start believing in yourself that you're every bit as good as the top executive of a company or anybody else you revere or whatever it is. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case, but he said, start seeing yourself in the light that God sees you, as he's no respecter, and we are all the same. And we should treat each other with respect and dignity. Allow people to do that for you. Expect it, and they'll treat you that way. Quit being the walking doormat sometimes, as maybe it's the empathic side of myself. I don't know. But that's the battle I've had all my life, you know. So anyway, a little vulnerable there, but what have you got to say about that? Anybody?
Well, I like that because it was kind of a roundabout compliment too. It was him telling you that are humble and that you have these gifts, these empath gifts, but also that you are an amazing person and you get to put yourself on that plane also. So that's really nice, really beautiful. And how did it feel? Were you able to just say thank you and receive
I
those
told him thank
things?
you, yeah.
Yeah.
Part of me just wanted to fight back at some of the harsh things. And after a little bit, I thought, why are you fighting back? Because what he says is true. But it's interesting. He said, Mark, I'm the one that least cares about what people think, but I get praise and compliments and everybody. And he says, because I don't care. And I'm thinking, so I care, but I really don't base my life on that. So anyway, hope that helped anybody. And yes, I'm working on that. I've come a long ways in the last couple of years. So we're good. Yep.
Fantastic.
I think it's a big compliment too. Go back to what Jesus said, and he said, blessed are the meek, and you think, well, who do I really want to be in life? And yeah, it's important to think about ourselves. If you don't mind sharing it, just a thought. Jesus also said to love our neighbor as ourselves, and we can't love our neighbor if we don't love ourselves. And I've had to work on that a lot myself. But although what he said, I still think you've got amazing talent and ability. And
yeah, if you saw my night last night. Anyway,
I disagree.
I seem to attract some pretty interesting people with some major issues. And I've helped a lot of people in my life. And sometimes that comes with its obstacles, but he was talking about that too. You just got to see them even. Doesn't matter how low of low they are, see them as your equal. And I've really been working on that a lot this year, seeing everybody in that light. And not just this year, but always, I've always seen people in good light, but just really realizing that number one, I can't judge anybody because, I'm imperfect myself. And then number two, I have to be easy on myself and love myself too. So thank you. Craig, is that Craig?
Alan.
Alan.
Alan. Oh, thank you, Alan. I saw Craig's name on there too. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for sharing those things. I think those are really great for all of us to think about. And sometimes when we receive a compliment or when someone is telling us something good about ourselves, it may be at a time when we're not feeling that at all. Like we're in a rough spot. And maybe that instead of like our tendency right then would be to say, well, I don't know, you should see this part of me, like then you won't agree. But maybe we could look at it like, oh, they are reminding me of who I really am. And open up and just try to bring that in as oh yeah, I am that. I am that. I haven't been feeling that way, but I am that. Um, so thank
Can
you.
I ask one more question of you guys?
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
My brother's been trying to teach me all my life. He said, you seek too hard for praise. You try too hard and that turns people off. And I'm like, what?
Hmm.
I don't know how you can try too hard to be good to people, but he said, yeah.
Being good to people isn't the same as someone that's looking for praise just to make themselves feel better. I've never felt like in our meetings that you were seeking for praise. You're just a humble, nice guy.
Thank you.
I knew a guy years ago who I didn't realize at the time that what had happened, but I learned later on that he had been raised in and out and gone in and out of many foster homes. And he was, I realized at that time then that he was just aching to fit in, to belong. And he overreached so dramatically, seeking acceptance, seeking praise, seeking somebody to accept him. And I've never sensed that from you at all. Of course, I don't know you really well, but I've never sensed that from you at all. But that might be something along that line, maybe what he was leading to. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with what Arena just said. Seeking praise can look like a need for validation, and I totally agree with that. That's exactly what this other fellow was doing. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I have issues where I'm addicted to people, but it's more like an addiction to their validation. And so I'm not constantly looking really for their praise, but just their validation that I'm real and that they see me and they haven't forgotten me and that, I'm always on their mind. And it's like it can become, overwhelming to the other person. So this is something that I have had to work on my whole life is I may want those compliments and I may like hunger for them even. But once I get them, I'm like, oh my gosh, now what do I do with that? So,
Yeah. And a lot of us do tend to really care a lot about what others think about us, whether we want to hear those compliments or not. We do care, and so we may change our actions in order to try to please other people. And this lesson is not supposed to really be about that because we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to need acceptance from others. We want to have internal. We need to accept ourselves so that we don't need that from other people. But aside from that, just hearing, just stepping back and hearing what others have to say about us that is positive and uplifting, that can also be a really, really great thing.
When
But
I
not, go ahead, Jules.
when I did this assignment in a class, and I realized that I was kind of boinging the compliments, I tried to do what Julie's saying, to soak them in and make a difference for me. And so I'm kind of weird. I wrote a song and it's to Frere Jacques. And I just used the compliments that they said. And then at the end, I put a little bit on that helped it go into my brain more. I am gorgeous. I am loving. I am smart. I am safe. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I know God's not done with me. I'm enough, more than enough. There you go.
Beautiful,
Very cool.
Jules. Yes, because really that has to come from within. Um, thank you. Alan, would you like to share about your experience this week?
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to. The reason why I'm late is I have a nephew that's been in the hospital, and he asked me to come over and pray with him and give him a blessing. And he had shared some things with me, and it wasn't, I didn't ask him a week ago on that, but it's just, I guess the thing I come back to is just that he knows that I love him, you know. But anyways, going back to, I sent it out to 5 people. There were 2 of them that responded. So I really don't have that many friends apparently, but my brother, come on, you can laugh at that. I don't have any.
Keep sending them out until you get 5.
Well, my brother, younger brother, who I feel like I'm quite close with, he responded right away, and he said that I'm loyal, hardworking, and thoughtful. And I told him thank you, and I really did appreciate that. Sometimes in sibling relationships, you might not always feel that, but I was very appreciative of that. And then the other friend that sent it back, he said, "You're a very good listener, empathetic. You're a very good listener, empathetic listener. You have a fun sense of humor, and it's a pleasure being in your presence. Always good at interacting with our church calling with the youth. I love my wife and kids, and your whole soul, humble, teachable, righteous, my favorite bishop ever." It meant a lot to me because he has been through so much in his life. He was in a lifelike crash where everybody died but him. And they told me he'd never walk again. And he did. And he walks today, and he's a living miracle. But I just think so much of him and his faith and his what he's done with his life after nearly dying. So anyways, those were both very, very positive. I didn't mean to make the other sound negative. I got wonderful responses.
That's
So,
great. I think also when we really think highly of someone and then they think highly of us as well, that's just a beautiful thing and strengthens the relationship. So,
yeah, it was a very good experience to be able to ask this and to be mindful of it, so that even tonight I had another experience with that. And I really appreciated that opportunity to reflect on those things and to communicate with some of the people that I know love me and hear them tell me that. So
wonderful. And for you, receiving compliments, is it easy for you to just say thank you?
no, I deflect it.
Okay.
I deflect it. I say, well, you're better. You're nicer. I'm not really that nice. And so I have made a point this week of just saying thank you. I did catch myself with my nephew tonight. And then after I caught myself, I said thank you. But it's been a good thing to focus on.
Yeah, how did that feel?
It felt good because I was accepting his sincerity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he wanted me to know that. And I wanted to kind of make it like I'm not really that, I just didn't want to take the praise. But after he said that, he kind of called me out on it a little bit too. And then he told me that. Let me share one other thing. This was the week before our assignment, but I had another nephew come up to me, and this is kind of funny. He said, "Alan," he said, what did he say? You remind me of my gym coach. He said 3 things, but the gym coach is what kind of caught me off guard. And no, it wasn't that. It was his shop teacher. So I talked to him a little bit more, and he just loved his shop teacher. And I thought, well, how was that a compliment to begin with? But after he explained it to me, I thought, okay. And I told him thank you too.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. All right, Alan, that's great. Thank you for sharing anything, any other insights you had.
No, it's nice to be here with each of you.
Yeah,
Appreciate hearing from you.
yeah. This is a good group.
Mhm.
All right, thank you, Alan. Craig, are you, yep, there you are.
Sure, I'm
Good to
here.
see you. How was your week?
It was good. It was, yeah, I missed last week, long story. And so anyway, it's good to be back with you.
Good to have you.
Um, I've always had a really, really difficult time accepting compliments, and I've been working on this for a very long time. I learned this a long time ago, and I'm still struggling with trying to accept compliments. I did send out the text, and it's very difficult for me to do that. But I got some good responses. Said that I'm very patient, I'm very thorough, I'm thoughtful, concerned for others over self, always seeking learning and self-improvement, depth of knowledge, good problem solver, caring, these kinds of things. So those are the things that I got back. And
Was one of them, did one of them surprise you? Did any of those surprise you?
um patient.
Hmm?
I always tell people I have an awful lot of patience. It just burns up really fast. So so yeah, I mean, for anyone to call me patient is very shocking.
Wow. So
So
maybe you're more patient than you think you are, huh?
this individual is a good friend. I've known him for a lot of years, and he's also a client. And he's one of the clients that I hear from more than any of the others. And it's likely because we're good friends as well. And so I think a lot of that was the fact that as a client, I mean, I go out of my way to really serve my clients and help them and do what I can to meet their needs and so forth. But just as I was saying that, it reminded me of another situation years ago. We were in we were cleaning the church, and one of the sisters in the ward was trying to dump the mop bucket out, and she spilled it all over the floor. And so we were cleaning it up and got it all cleaned up into the bucket again, and she dumped it and spilled it all over the floor again. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So we got it cleaned up, and we were doing it again, and she wouldn't let me dump it. She dumped it and spilled it all over the floor again. I was going, "Why don't I just do this? I'll go ahead and get this taken care of." And she went out and she told my mother, my wife. She says, "You have a very patient husband," which is, I think, the very first time in my entire life my name and patience were ever mentioned in the same sentence. So it was an interesting experience. But
You do have patience. Ah,
I guess I can drum it up when I really need to. I actually really try to go out of my way to, while I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. All of a sudden I realize when I'm dealing with people, I really try to be friendly, to be helpful, to be supportive, and not I guess not take out my patience on them personally. My patience while I'm driving goes away really fast. And my patience with myself that's one of the things that I have struggled with a lot. I have very little, if any, patience with myself, being less than perfect. And I know that's kind of ridiculous, but I expect myself to be just 2 or 3 notches above perfect on everything all the time. And whenever I prove that I'm not perfect, I'm not very nice to myself about it. And I'm very demanding of myself. And I'm infinitely more demanding of myself than I would ever be with anyone else, and much more so than anyone would ever be with me. And I'm aware of that. And so anyway, something I'm still working on.
Yeah, interesting. So maybe those things that we're not willing to accept from others, it's because we're not accepting it in ourselves, right?
Oh, that's
Those
absolutely
compliments.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I have noticed that. I mean, I will I've noticed that as I'm being critical of others, I've started noticing, oh, you're doing that same thing too, Craig. One of the things that just I have for years been really frustrated about people who are victims, who run around the world with this victim mentality. And I have absolutely zero patience with that. Until a couple of years ago, I realized that I'm approaching most everything in my life as a victim. And it really made me mad. When I realized that, I was just shocked and stunned and frustrated. But I realized that, okay, I've got to start working on that. And so one of the things that I've recognized about the lack of patience and my very short temper is that that's always related to a victim mentality. Whenever I get angry, it's because I'm feeling like a victim. And so
Well,
it's
now
really interesting.
we're touching more on the shadow work again,
Okay.
and that's good. That's good if becoming aware of those things. And you know, in being aware of those things and being aware that you're not very patient with yourself, maybe when the compliments come from others, you're patient. Then you can remember, oh, you know what? I am really patient with other people, and I'm learning how to be patient with myself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's one way, maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig, for sharing.
Thank you. Mhm.
Appreciate it. And all of you. Those were some awesome answers. I think Christy is still out for now, and so we're going to let her take care of what she needs. And we will move on to our next lesson for the week. And Jules is going to present for us.
Okay, I'm gonna say a quote by Stephen R. Covey. People can't live with change if there's not a changeless core inside them. The key to the ability to change is a changeless sense of who you are, what you are, and what you value. Yeah. So
How would we get? Oh, there. Okay, I'd like that copy. Thank you.
people can't live with change if there's not a changeless core inside them. Like recently, I found out that I'm going to need to find a new place to live. And if I didn't have a changeless core inside me, what I hung on to, the key to the ability to change is a changeless sense of who you are, what you are, and what you value. Give me some feedback on that. What did that stir in your brain? What does it mean to you? Anybody?
It means that you have to be secure in who you are, know who you are, so that you're not threatened by the changes that are inevitable in life. And being able to, it reminds me of the poem entitled "If" by Rudyard Kipling. And it just talks about, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, and it goes on. It's a brilliant perspective of how to really be a whole person. So anyway, I really appreciate this quote. Thank you.
Anybody else?
it, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It really means a lot to me. I'm not quite sure how to say more about it, but I really love it that inside of us we have a divine center, and we have something of immense value and incalculable value, and being able to recognize that. I think it also comes back to having the courage to believe that and to live our lives according to it. I just thought what you are about and what you value, the changeable sense of who you are, what you are, and what your value. I just love it.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about. Do you know what you value? Could you articulate it? So this week we're going to focus on what our core values are. Scott Jeffrey said, our core values highlight what we stand for. Core values guide our behaviors, decisions, and actions. So when you know what you value, you can live in accordance with those values. This leads to greater fulfillment, obviously. And when you don't know what your values are, then you could violate them from day to day just because you haven't gotten clear. This creates an internal tension, and this triggers destructive habits and regressive behavior. So Scott Jeffries, we're getting some of this material from him, and you can look up more about his research at Scott, S-C-O-T-T, Jeffries, JEFFREY.com. And to study values beyond what we're going to talk about tonight, you could just look him up. And he recommends that there's 7 steps for discovering your core values. We're going to use a few of those steps together tonight. Determining your core values doesn't start with a list, because core values aren't something that you choose. They're something you discover. You figure out, oh, I really do value that. So as I've been looking around at places to live, there's some really ugly places that are in my price range. And I realized that beauty is definitely one of my core values. I need to have somewhere beautiful. So, if we stare at a list, we might think, oh, this one's good and that one's not so good. But really, everyone's different, and everyone holds to different values. And it's who they are and what they believe because of their life experiences. So there's no right and wrong. It's just what is. And that's what we're going to figure out. So just for fun, we're going to put up a list of some core values that are C core values. So look at that list. Calmness, charm, comfort, clarity, control, conviction. Yeah, so those are just some. Do you have a question about what a core value is, or is this pretty clear?
Is there any specific reason that the letter C was chosen?
No, just
Okay.
threw it up. Okay, so we're going to begin making a list. I hope you have a paper and a pen. And remember the week when we did defining moments? Go back and look in your portfolio and look at what really had an impact on you in your life. And what does that reveal to you about what's important? We could use both positive and negative experiences to figure out what we value. Okay, so like, if we saw kindness demonstrated in our home and charity, and then we would value those things and value family relationships. Or conversely, if we had the experience of being really sick when we were a child, then maybe when we grew up, we'd really value vitality and health and healthy eating habits and stuff. So that would affect you in that way. Other examples, like if you've lost someone close to you, you might value quality time with the people that you love, connection, or faith. If you grew up in a house with constant arguing or abuse, then you might value peace and safety and compassion. So because of your life experiences, it kind of forms what your core values are. So refer to your defining moments, and that'll give you some really good clues. Your
Would-
current,
w-
go ahead.
Would it be realistic to look for 2 or 3 or 5 or 20 or 50, or what would be a realistic number, or how would you know?
I'm going to get to that.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
You're good. You're good. Okay. So look at your current life schedule. So we talked about defining moments. That's the first thing to focus on. And then your current life schedule. What activities do you spend your time doing? Because if you want to know what you value, look at what you spend time on. Look at what you spend money on. Look at who you're spending your time with. That'll give you a clue. Yep. Do you spend time serving others? Are you involved in work projects? Do you love creating and making meaning and having things be fulfilling? Do you enjoy being organized? Okay. And then another one. So defining moments, current life schedule, code of conduct is the third suggestion he gives. Other than defining moments and current activities, we can consider what might be termed as code of conduct, or in other words, what we must have in our lives in order to thrive and have your life be happy and fulfilling. What are the values you must honor or part of you would wither? For example, meaning, adventure, honesty, beauty, education, Verena, deep relationships. Okay, so are you ready to begin? We're going to play some cool music. And we're going to have you take out a piece of paper. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes until something forms in your mind, and then open your eyes and write it down. Okay, here we go. Okay, a little softer. Okay, start with a beginner's mind. Close your eyes and take a deep breath to clear your mind. We're going to make space for inspiration. Our conscious mind does not have all the answers. We are starting without any preconceived ideas. What are your core values? Pretend that you have nothing in your brain, and we're just going to start from the beginning. We're going to give you a few minutes to just list, a brainstorm list, and write down anything that comes to your mind. When something comes to your mind, open your eyes and write it down. We're going to narrow it down later. Here's some prompts. What values are essential in your life? Can't live without. They're part of who you are. If you didn't have them, life would be yucky. values represent your primary way of being? Are you adventurous? Are you determined and always have to have a goal to make sense of your life? You have to have downtime and peace and quiet. It's essential. What other things are essential in supporting your inner self? What does thriving mean to you? What things do you have to have, or you would wither? What excites you? What brings you joy? What are you passionate about? What have your life experiences taught you and made you hold on to a cause, something that you want to change? What problem do you want to solve that you feel you're uniquely gifted because of what you've experienced yourself that you could help others with? You committed to something, cause, a purpose? What do you know to be real or true? What's your foundation? You might come at it from the opposite way. What things do you think are stupid or idiotic or don't make sense at all? And the opposite of that is what you have as a core value. Okay, we can turn off the music. We're going to let you keep adding to this list throughout the week. And we're going to have you determine what your 5 core values are. 5 is a pretty good number. You have 5 fingers. It feels actionable, plus or minus. So how do you make this list useful? I bet you've got tons of words. You can chunk them together. So like maybe you're going to have similar words with a central theme like exercise, vitality, health, wellness, healthy food. That could all be the central theme of health. You could just label that health. Okay. So if you see some of those chunking that you could do right now, like you could put a heart by all the ones that have to do with relationships. You could put an H by all those have to do with health. Or if you see any chunking that you could do, go ahead and start that. So somewhere in the upper right-hand corner, right chunk, and then you'll remember that that's one of the steps to take to narrow it down and to get it. You know how essential oils, they say that they get it down to the purest, strongest, most essential pure part of the oil. That's what you're going to do with your core values. You're going to get it down to one word take a whole bunch of them and get it down into one word that really does describe that. And maybe you'll have 5 or 6 or 7, however many you can get it down to. Okay, then you're going to choose what are those top 5, 3, 5, 7 words. And you can have more or less as needed. There's no right or wrong, but you'll know when you achieve it. So we're all unique, and just finish this process on your own. You're going to come up with a word, a list of your core values. And we're going to have you write those words in your portfolio and then describe, like write a paragraph that describes what that word means to you. Why is that a core value for you? And then the last one is we're going to see if you're living your values. This part's going to be super fun. So, have you ever created a bucket list? Yep. This is a list of what you want to do, things you want to do before you die. And it can be things you want to be. Be patient, be compassionate, be loving, whatever. What do you want to be before you die? And have. So what you want to be, do, and have. Those could be part of your list. And after you determine your top 5 values, you get to make a bucket list of the items that reflect your core values. So if you value travel or adventure, you may have a plan to take an important trip and put that on your bucket list. And if you value deep relationships, you may want to have a goal to spend a weekend just hanging out with a particular person that's important to you to deepen your relationship. A bucket list is a way to say, this goal is so important that I must do it. I must do it before I die. So knowing your core values helps us determine what would be most important to spend our time doing. So the focus assignment for this week is you're going to, number 1, finish your brainstorming list of your core values. You can still add like 25 more. Determine your top 5 core values. There we go. We'll give you a number. List them in your portfolio and describe what they mean to you. You could write a poem or just a paragraph, and then create a bucket list of several items that emphasize your core values. So next week, you're going to share just one of your top core values and why it's one of your core values. You're going to share a bucket list item that will help you live that value more fully in your life. And then this will be the funnest part. You're going to share one tiny baby step that you can take right away to achieve that bucket list item experience. So
Can you go back one slide?
one slide back. There we go.
Thank you. Got it.
And so my little baby step, okay, he says he's got it. You can go to the next one. My little baby step to move me towards my bucket list. So I want to go to Japan. I have 2 boys that live in Japan. And so my little baby step is to go to the bank and make a savings account that says Japan on it. And then every paycheck put some money in there. So see, that'll help it become reality, right? So you're going to share a baby step that you can take right away to achieve that bucket list item. It could be to put a picture of that mountain in Japan. I don't even know the name of it, as my screensaver on my computer or on my phone. See?
Fuji-san.
What is it called?
Fuji-san, Mount Fuji.
Yep, Mount Fuji. There we go. I love it.
Whereabouts in Japan are your sons?
One is in Tokyo and one is in Iwakuni.
Okay, cool.
It'll be great.
That's awesome.
And then next week you're going to share, how did this assignment go and what did it do for you? and we're going to create some momentum, and you're going to have an awesome week. So I challenge you right now to open your calendar and schedule a 1-hour time block to work on this assignment. Because when you're serious about completing the focus assignment, things shift and change, and your life is different because you did the work. There we go. There's our class on core values, and I think that you all value learning and growing and personal development because you're here. And it's been amazing how vulnerable you've been willing to be with us, because that's when growth and change can happen, is when you look at what's real and what's true, instead of just trying to, like, the masks that we wear for other people because we're afraid of what they think of us. That's not where the growth comes. The growth comes when the masks are off and we're vulnerable and we're looking at what's real. And if we're really lining up with what we value, or if life is living us instead of us living life. So go out and do your focus assignment on that hour that you scheduled. I'm proud of you. Go, fight, win. Let's make Curtis proud next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Have a good week.
Thank you. I was in Japan on my mission, so
Awesome. You can give me some pointers before I go.
happy to talk to you about it. So yeah, that was a long time ago, but still, yeah.
That's
Cool.
cool.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Bye, Craig.
See ya.
Thanks, you guys. You
See you,
ladies.
Mark. You're
Appreciate it.
amazing.
Oh, I didn't mean to derail us
This was
tonight.
a test. This was a test. Hey, Mark, thank you. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. I didn't hear the amazing enough, I guess.
You did
You-
great. You passed the test.
You
Thank you.
didn't derail us. You made our discussion more rich. So
We went
thank you.
deeper.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. You guys. I'm trying to find the button, like all the big screen disappeared.
We have
And
faith in
Um, oh, it's okay. I'll just shut my computer down because I really cannot find it.
you. Okay. And Julie, you can quit.